Hello, I'm the Royce Nostalgia Critic. I remember it because I have a weird brain. Welcome to my comfortable grandpa's autumnal chair of storytelling, where this fall I shall regale you with tales of terror, woe, and romance. Hello everyone, this is Royce Miller coming back at you with yet another one of these weird ramble videos where I try to describe to you memories from my childhood of a specific media that I engaged in when I was way too young. And today's topic is the 1980s horror comedy, High Spirits. High Spirits, I didn't look up any, auxiliary information, like director or the year it was made. I believe it was late 80s. But anyway, High Spirits is a weird film. It is a really weird film. I am surprised that this got made, even in the coke-fueled days of the 80s. So, this is a romance movie where a married man cheats on his wife with a ghost. Let me explain. The film is primarily told from two perspectives. The first is Peter O'Toole as the inheritor of a Scottish castle. His father is dead, his mother is really old, and he decides to open it up as a haunted attraction, like a bed and breakfast but with spookums. Which, honestly, not a bad idea, especially if you're Peter O'Toole, because he does have this gravitas to everything he says. Peter O'Toole, obviously, Lawrence of Arabia, King Ralph. To my generation, he's probably most well known. My generation and younger, I should say. He's most well known as Ego, the food critic from Ratatouille. Which is funny because, when I was a teenager, I always thought that was Ian McKellen in that role, but now it's Peter O'Toole, and a great performance too. I would like your heart on a spit. Anyway. And the other perspective is Steve Guttenberg, who I believe is on a honeymoon with his wife, Beverly DAngelo. Now, Guttenberg is pretty famous. I believe he's probably most well known for 3 Men and a Baby, which he's in with Ted Danson and Magnum P.I. Oh, what's his name? Tom Selleck. And Beverly DAngelo, not a scream queen in the way, say, Adrienne Barbeau was, but she is, a famous face of the 80s. Because she was in the Vacation movies as Helen Griswold, Clark's wife. And, one of those actresses that young men would take notice of. Anyway, so there are two of the people going there on vacation, and then there's a priest who I'm trying to think of who the actor is. I don't know his name, but I think he's in The Man Who Knew Too Little as Bill Murray's brother. Then you have Jennifer Tilly, and the lawyer from Jurassic Park is, I believe, one of those people who rates haunted attractions based on how scary they are. And there's some kids too, It's an ensemble cast. And when they're first introduced, it's clearly just very hokey. They literally do a thing where the lights go out and all the employees hide to kind of be like, ooh, everyone disappeared, ooh. So then we cut to Peter O'Toole's mom, and wind blows through the doors, and she says, "Oh, hello, dear," or something like that, because the ghost of her husband shows up, and he says "Our son is an idiot," and she's like, "Oh, we've known that for years," which is weird, because first off, this is supposed to be a Scottish castle, or Irish castle, I think Scottish, I'm not sure. But Peter O'Toole and his mother are clearly not Scottish. And I don't believe his father is either. Um, and so he basically says, like, if they want a haunted house, they gotta get a haunted house. And basically unleashes all the ghosts that are in the castle upon them. The one that, and so the main one that that kind of like interact with our main cast is we're introduced to Darl Han and Liam Neeson in one of his first roles. I believe the only other role he had before this was probably Kroll. Which, if you haven't seen Kroll, it is mostly very boring. The scene with the weird stop motion spider is actually pretty good. I seek the widow. If you haven't seen that movie, like, it's worth a watch if you like sword and sorcery, and it's got Robbie Coltrane and Liam Neeson in it. But other than that, it's really dry. It also has decent lore for Cyclopses in it. That they were tricked by a demon into giving away one of their eyes, so or in trade for the ability to see the future. But they were cursed, so that the only thing that they could see is their own death, and they can't try to like alter the course of events to prevent that death, because I don't know, something about like that will lead to untold agony or something. Anyway, we're not talking about Kroll. We're not talking about Kroll. And its weird ninja star glaive thing. We're talking about high spirits. So Liam Neeson plays this Scottish Irish ghost who murdered his fiancée on their wedding night because he believed that she was cheating on him when she wasn't. And Steve Guttenberg being, he's Steve Guttenberg. He's a nice guy. He tries to get between them because he doesn't know what's happening. And he gets stabbed by Ghost Liam Neeson, which obviously doesn't hurt him because it's a ghost. But he does save Darl Han because of it. And so that kind of breaks her out of this endless cycle that she's been in for hundreds of years. And they start like having this weird flirtation thing. But Liam Neeson is still stuck in it until Beverly DAngelo goes into their room and sees him, and then he starts snapping out of it himself, and he says, "Oh, what a woman!" Like, ugh, ugh. He's really good at playing a creeper in this. Like, he is such a creeper. There's like a shower scene where he manifests behind her and stuff. It's really, really gross. Like, again, I've not watched this movie since I was single digits. Probably like 8 or 9. It is just such a weird movie. It's like the 7 Faces of Dr. Lao, where the older you get, the more you're like, this probably shouldn't be on TV anymore. Which meant, like, the 7 Faces of Dr. Lao is another, like, really weird one, because it's Tony Randall, like, the brain gremlin, or, I think he was in the TV Odd Couple, and, what's the one where it's like a man and his wife move from the big city out to a farm with, I think, something Gabor and Tony Randall, or I can't remember. Anyway, he plays Dr. Lao, which, if you can't tell, white man playing a Chinese man, it gets pretty bad. But like there is an interesting concept to it, because he doesn't just play the yellow face character. He plays 6 other characters. That's why it's called 7 Faces Dr. Lao. It's kind of like if you took, it's kind of like if you tried to take, Eddie Murphy's The Nutty Professor seriously, where you have one person playing multiple characters, because he doesn't just play Dr. Lao. He plays Merlin, he plays Medusa, he plays the Serpent, he plays Pan. Which, like, doing a drag performance of Medusa is interesting, because, again, you run into that whole idea of Medusa is cursed to look hideous to people, even though typically we do portray her as looking beautiful. Like even in the post, she'll turn you to stone form. We usually portray her as beautiful. Also, Seven Faces Dr. Lao is weird because it's set in the Wild West, and he's sort of this like traveling carnival show. I am so off topic right now. What the heck? Oh, I look like a chef when I do that. No, I hate those. I hate those modern togs that look like this, where it's just a hat. Like, what is the point of this? What this does nothing. Anyway, the scene there are two scenes from this movie that always stuck out to me as a kid. The first one is this really, or in High Spirits. Sorry, we got to get back to the movie. We got to get back to High Spirits. The first scene is where they're all in this theater area, and suddenly, like, winds start picking up, and this puppet show on stage. It's like these, almost like wooden backdrops that are hand cranked puppets, like of waves, start going back and forth. But like they can also feel the sea spray. They can feel the wind coming out of it. It's like there's the things in the like puppet show are coming to life, and a massive tentacle reaches out and then suddenly appears and grabs one of the kids and drags him in, and suddenly he is a wooden puppet in the show. And it's just such a disturbing scene because it's, and they have to like use a life preserver and throw it in after him, and like it appears in the puppet show as like a little wooden life preserver on like a little stick to show like, oh, it's being puppeted off screen, and lowers onto him, and they're able to drag him back out of the puppet show. It's a really interesting concept that is done pretty well, to my memory. Again, we're talking 20 years ago at least. 20, you know. The other scene, you have the priest, who's played by the brother from The Man Who Knew Too Little. He's like lusting after, I think, Jennifer Tilly. So, he's questioning his devotion to God or whatever. And then suddenly a bunch of nuns with blacked out faces and shadowed faces and glowing red eyes swarm him and throw him out the window. And that scared the shit out of me as a kid. Like, I am not afraid of that stupid nun from the Conjuring films. No, I am scared of those nuns. Those swarming evil Ewok nuns. Not Ewok, Jawa nuns. Because they look like Jawas. Because they're small, you can't see their faces, and they have glowing red eyes. And then also there's another scene where, okay. So before they actually all try to leave, but their tour bus is sank in the lake by a freak thunderstorm, and because they were all trying to leave, and Peter O'Toole was at the end of his rope, this was his Hail Mary to try and be successful again. He is literally about to hang himself, and when one of the maids comes in and says, "So they're all deciding to stay," and Peter O'Toole looks at dripping coming through the brickwork, and he says, "There is a God." Like, oh my God, that kind of joke would not fly today. It's really dark and pretty funny, but really dark. Anyway, oh my God. And then when the lawyer from Jurassic Park tries to fight one of the ghosts, he dresses up in full plate armor and gets zapped by lightning. I think he survives. There is only, I believe, one death in the film that occurs during the film, and you'll see what I mean in a bit. So while all this chaos stuff is happening, Steve Guttenberg is actually having a very wonderful time because he's flirting with this Irish ghost played by Darl Han. It's the mermaid from Splash, everyone. It's, everyone likes her. I haven't watched Splash in longer than this movie, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like it. So, oh man, he talks to Peter O'Toole's mom about like what it's like to be in love with a ghost, and she says like oh I still love my husband even though he's dead, and we make it work because like she's clearly been because her husband looks significantly younger than her. She's like in her 90s, he's like in his 60s or 70s. And she talks about this thing called scalping, which is basically when a ghost is able to pleasure themselves and you by phasing through you. Like, like I don't know. It sounds weird. It's a weird movie. You have to remember that like this is the time that gave us Beetlejuice, Death Becomes Her, and a plethora of other supernatural horror comedies that are just insane to think about in a modern context. Like this is the era that gave us Return of the Living Dead, a film that scares me to my core, and I would never want to watch, but I still respect because I understand what it's doing. Oh Lord. Anyway. So, God, that's one. Return of the Living Dead is one of those where even the poster is just like, no. Again, I'm weird about zombies. I am really weird about zombies. I would argue even that High Spirits is kind of like the Haunted Mansion movie that never was. Like a really good practical effects Haunted Mansion movie. Anyway. But so, he also finds out that he'll be able to interact physically with Darl Han on like a full moon or something. But only for a limited time. And he can't have sex with her, otherwise it'll like do something weird. He has sex with her. And it starts aging her immensely. And, while they're all doing that, Peter O'Toole finally, like, comes to terms with his father and has a confrontation with him, and they admit they love each other, tries to hug his dad, goes right through him and falls down, and his father just looks at him like, my son's an idiot, but I do love him. Which is what we call Chekhov's, not even Chekhov's gun, we'll call it setup. Anyway, and, also, while this is all going on, Beverly DAngelo is falling in love with Liam Neeson. So, Liam Neeson is sitting on a windowsill, and Beverly DAngelo is like, "Oh, I can't take it anymore. I'm in love with you, not Steve Guttenberg. Clark, I'm talking. He's been here the whole time." We're almost done, but anyway, she runs to embrace him, but phases right through him, falls out the window, and Steve Guttenberg's like, "Oh no, my wife, the woman I actually married," runs out to the front of the castle to rescue her, and finds that she's like changed places with Darl Han. So now Darl Han is alive, and Beverly DAngelo is the ghost. So the day is saved. The castle is, the castle is saved or whatever. Peter O'Toole doesn't have to hang himself. And so Steve Guttenberg and Darl Han live at the castle, as well as Liam Neeson and Beverly DAngelo, and they're trying to, and Darl Han and Steve Guttenberg are trying to enjoy their honeymoon or whatever when they're interrupted by Liam Neeson and Beverly DAngelo dancing, and they say, "Hey, we're trying to do something here." And Beverly DAngelo's like, "Don't you know? Days are for the living, nights are for the dead," or something like that. It is such a weird film. Conceptually, like, think about it on a conceptual level. Steve Guttenberg cheats on his wife with a ghost. This is like if the ghost blowjob from Ghostbusters was the movie. Like, what is this? what even is this? Like, this is the closest I've ever felt to Doug, where I'm just like, what were they thinking? Like, what the heck, man? What the heck? Oh, Lord. It is weird. It is just so weird. Oh, no, don't chew on my suit coat. No. He wants a little cameo. Oh, ow, he bit my ear. You little numbskull. I know you don't. Oh. Who's your sweet little boy? Who's your sweet little boy? Okay, so, as you can probably tell, this isn't a food video. No. As you can probably tell, this isn't a food video. That's because I'm still broke. And will be until Friday, which is, for me, tomorrow. Hey, stop it. Members will know, because they'll have early access to this. And I actually have to work tomorrow, so I don't have a chance to film anything for then. Because I also have to go do my grocery runs and stuff, even though I'm getting paid and stuff. And hopefully I'll be able to have a more normal schedule and be able to pick something else off the list of stuff that I promised I'd try to do this month. Most likely the Coke Oreos. My goal is to do cross my fingers, knock on wood. My goal is to do the Chilean sea bass for Halloween, if I have the money for it. I'll dress up as John Hammond and eat the Chilean sea bass. I can't dress up as Dennis Nedry because they don't make his shirts in my size. What the heck, man? Because I know that's what everyone would immediately think is, oh, Royce should dress up as Dennis Nedry because he's also fat, wears glasses, and would most likely get eaten by a Dilophosaurus. And would definitely sell out his bosses to a rival corporation. Anyway, thank y'all for joining me today. You all have a good one. Tell me what you think about the new location. Just like my cousin's armchair for the occasional story time. Anyway, this is Royce Miller. I'm outie. I'm the Roycetalgia critic. I remember it because even though I don't want to. Y'all have a good one. I'm outie. Ow!